Hello, this is Catherine from Accelerated Reader Reading Books for You. Today I will be reading Chapter 66 from Two Worlds, a novel of friends and foes from strange places by Laura T. Lee. Before I begin reading, I would like to give a big thanks to the author for sending me this book to read on my channel. In the description below, I've included links where you may find and purchase this book. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Chapter 66. Lily rose from a restless sleep, highly alert, looking around her bedroom. As she'd woken up, she had sensed something close by, breathing loudly. Puzzled, Lily opened the window to welcome the sunny day and immediately closed it. There was a dragon outside her window. It was staring straight ahead with a bored look on its scaly face. But it wasn't the sight that made Lily slam the window closed. Rather, it was the downright disgusting odor of sweaty dragon that choked her. How long had the dragon been sitting outside her apartment? 5 minutes? 5 hours? Lily found herself calling Tara's communicator. Miraculously, no one's earpieces had fallen out so far. Tara answered the call immediately. I was relaxing, so this had better be good. Lily ignored the question. What are you doing? Having breakfast with Stacy and Jake in my kitchen. Great, listen, I'm in big trouble. And how exactly are you in big trouble? Tara asked impatiently. Lily sighed. There's a dragon outside my window, okay? Sophie must have tracked me down. From what Lily knew about her friend's personality, Tara was probably rolling her eyes. And why should I be worrying about that? Tara inquired calmly. Because, Lily's voice petered out as she noticed some background noise, the sound of a window opening, and then Jake's voice screaming, There's a dragon outside the window! Moments later, Stacy broke the awkward silence. Shut up, Jake, and don't say things like that while I'm eating. Lily heard a long burst of static and realized that Tara was sighing. If it's that bad, I suppose I should check it out. If you can't exit through the front door, try getting out through the fire escape. I'll see you at the library unless something really bad happens. Like the dragon eating the toilet, for example. A loud crunch slosh splash erupted from the speaker. Lily jerked away in surprise, pressing her phone to the ear just in time to hear Jake wailing, The dragon ate the toilet! Tara was definitely sighing into the phone again. Well, if I can still get out of the hotel without paying for the damage in my room and Jake's very obnoxious screaming, I'll see you at the library. Tara, who are you calling? Stacy's voice emitted through the phone, followed by a loud thud. Seconds later, Lily could hear Tara's voice yelling, Oh, that is not good. Get out! Get out! Then, through the phone, Lily, if you haven't hung up yet, the dragon just ate the whole bathroom and flooded the kitchen with toilet water. Bye! Lily hung up and peered out the window to find that the dragon was still there. She would have to risk the fire escape. Her bedroom window was several floors above the front door, which meant she would come out facing the dragon's butt. Lily shuddered, stuffing her phone in her pocket as she dashed out the door. 5 seconds later, she rushed back in, snatched her suitcase of special equipment from the far corner of the room, and ran back out again. With her luck, if the dragon attacked, her mother would remember the evacuation protocol. Then a thought occurred to her. Her mom was already at work. 10 minutes later, Lily yanked open the fire escape door before remembering that this newly installed fire escape led right to a spot 5 feet away from the main entrance. She abandoned the stairs and headed for the older fire escape, which was somehow not yet demolished. A rickety old series of metal platforms attached to the wall with rusty ladders that had to be pulled down. Unfortunately, the metal platforms were only about 2 feet in width, and 40 years of no use had left the ladders creaky and squeaky. Lily stared down at the 30-foot drop from her current location to the ground, head height for a sitting dragon. She took a deep breath, and tossing her suitcase onto the platform below, she began the long and dangerous task of climbing down the fire escape. She shinnied down the rusty ladder and almost tripped over her suitcase, barely managing to grab the ladder before she fell. She worked her way down the fire escape, trying not to look down. 2 rusty platforms later, as Lily was about to drop her suitcase on the next platform, a loud roar cut through the air, causing her to yelp in surprise. Seconds later, the building shook violently, sending plaster dust flying. Lily lost her grip on the ladder and fell. Her suitcase absorbed the worst of the impact as she crashed into the asphalt. Lily ran for her life as her apartment creaked and groaned. People flooded out of the front doors as the highest levels of the apartment began to crack and break away. Debris smashed into the pavement, barely missing her. The weight of Lily's suitcase was dragging her down, wasting her energy. But the contents were precious equipment. She couldn't let it fall into the wrong hands. Lily decided to keep the suitcase where it was, crammed under her arm. No, she wasn't going to abandon it. After what seemed like an eternity of running, Lily finally spotted the tall brick building that was the library. Stacy and Jake had ducked into an alley and were now peeking out at her as she sprinted toward them. Tara stood directly in front of the library's front door, her hand outstretched. But there was something on her friend's face that confused Lily. The look of desperation and fear on her face. Then she became aware of a rumbling sound, getting louder. Lily lunged forward and grabbed Tara's hand. Tara pulled her roughly into the alley to dodge the dragons that plowed into the library. The old structure fell apart in a mess of bricks and books. Lily peered into the wreckage from the shadows of the alley before remembering that there was nobody inside. The library was closed on Sundays. The dragons plowed through the rubble and took a sharp right, disappearing from their view. Jake sniffed indignantly. I've never liked books much, but if you want to read a book now, Jake, just do it. There are books everywhere, Lily said impatiently. Stacy kicked a squash book out of the way. We're not safe here, she said. Let's move. They made their way across the wreckage and walked away from the sirens and what was left of the library, as Tara told Lily would happen before. So, after the dragon ate the bathroom and flooded the kitchen, it started treating the entire hotel as well, a snack. Everyone got out safely. Jake was shaking like a leaf the whole time. Hey, Jake protested. Stacy's eyes locked on her suitcase. What's inside the suitcase? Lily opened her bag, revealing the equipment inside. Her sword, 12 shockwave grenades, one shinkable shield, and a computer from Teresa. Lily hadn't touched anything in the suitcase, but she did toss her sword in right before they left Los Angeles. Stacy reached for the computer and opened it, her fingers flying over the keyboard as she typed furiously. The others looked over her shoulder and waited. I suppose the only important thing is. Stacy looked at the long list of information on the screen and highlighted one piece. There's a self-destruct code, which is the same as the password. You can activate it in two ways, with a timer or the instant giant explosion way. Lily gulped. What's the instant giant explosion way exactly? Well, if you choose that way and close the computer, the next person who opens it goes boom. What's the code? Tara asked. They leaned in close to hear Stacy's barely audible whisper. Fauve. Lily frowned. That's a really bad code. Jake nodded. And for a password, that's super obvious. Stacy's eyes darted around nervously. Shush! We should have moved a long time ago. Stacy tucked the computer under her arm and her friends followed her down the street before the police found them. The last thing Lily wanted was to be near the wreckage of the library with police swarming the area. Tara scaled a ladder, or it might have been another rusty fire escape, attached to the nearest building that led to the roof so she could act as a lookout, while the others sat and discussed a plan. Meanwhile, Lily devised a way to sort their priorities. They would each say what they wanted to do, and the others would decide if it was a good idea. Rescue the other elves, Jake said quietly, starting off the discussion. The others shook their heads. I'm sorry, Jake, but Sophie will track us down, Lily said. Stacy kicked the wall. Then we find Sophie. Isn't that the entire point of this? Yes, Lily and Jake said in unison. So is that our plan or not? Jake asked impatiently. I mean, we've got to think fast. Sophie could be on us any second. Right as he finished talking, Tara Iwa slid down the ladder with a strange look on her face. Guys, you better see this. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for Chapter 67. Don't forget to like and subscribe. In the description below, I've included links where you may find and purchase this book.